Greetings everybody, this is Serpentine451 and welcome to another episode of Weeb Warriors. But no one will be joining me again this week simply because people are behind. I mean, incredibly behind by this point. Come on, Jay. Come on, Jordan. I know life can get you down and so much shit you have to do for that YouTube money. Speaking to you on that one, Jay. But enough of that. Let's actually get to the reviews, starting with the shows that are not on Crunchyroll. Let's start with Vinland Saga, episode 11, A Gamble. Now, with this episode in particular, we have Prince Canute and his band, including Ragnar, in the midst of the enemy party in their eyes, that being Torquil and his band of rebels. Since they're at the mercy, I should say, of Torquil and his men, they have no better way to get out of this sticky situation. However, Ashkelid and his band of Vikings decide to throw a monkey wrench into their plans. But before that, Ragnar's men of 400 strong, his 400 strong men, decided to try to cut a path and obtain the prince and their lord, which leads to the two armies in conflict because Torquil called Ragnar's men cowards, essentially. Then Ashkelid and his band decide to throw burning barrels or light stuff on fire to draw out and hopefully kill a lot of the individuals on hand, except for the prince himself, whom reveals his true face underneath the helmet, which he does look like a woman. I thought they were doing like a reverse history thing, like gender bending shit, kind of like what Fate does every now and then. But they do not do this. They just made him a Bishonen with very womanly features. But since it's a loose adaptation of history, it's fun that way. Don't you agree, guys? But it's cool to actually see our boy Thorfinn actually just whip ass. Well, he does kill one dude. It just performs a instant transmission in front of this man. Kills him dead, lifeless. And Torquil basically is excited at the fact that he gets to challenge, well, potentially challenge Thorfinn again. But he goes on to figure out the identity of his, not only his, well, he knew about his father, well, Thorfinn's father, but also Thorfinn's mother, basically trying to psych him out. But that doesn't happen. And ultimately, Thorfinn succeeds in his mission of grabbing the prince for Ashkelid. And there we go, that's pretty much it. That's all for the review. Next week will be very interesting since I took a cursory glance. There will be 14 episodes of this show, and I can't wait to see where it will ultimately lead. Next up, the final episode of How Heavy Are Those Dumbbells You Lift? Oh, good old episode 12. How heavy are those dumbbells you lift? Well, barbells you lift, I should say. Basically, our gang travels to Muscle Island, that's the English translation, for a contest of Mr. Meat Island, because everyone who's going, except for Kirei-sensei, all of them want that dong. They want to get dicked down by a hunky dude or a pretty boy. But essentially that doesn't happen. Akemi and Hibiki's dreams have been crushed, but to circumvent those sad feelings, they have joined the Miss Meat Island pageant and was able to just compete on pure strength of their talents. Poor Gina, she didn't even get to compete all that well, simply because, well, her trick, her talent, was stolen from her by another female Russian character with a stereotypical hat on her head. Poor Gina, she failed controllably. And then Ayaka decided she's gonna pull off some dragon flags in the most revealing swimsuit ever. But it all went down to Hibiki and Akemi. Akemi pulling off this impressive handstand push-up. Like, hell yeah. Damn, woman, you strong. Then you go to Hibiki. Pound for pound, the strongest punch in this anime. Just strong for no reason. Destroys things. Kills them dead. Lifeless. But it was great. Well, ultimately, Akemi wins because they had this big moment where they were going to challenge each other by lifting barbells like they did when they first started working out together as friends, well, new friends. But it doesn't pan out in Akemi's favor, because essentially our girl Hibiki got hungry and didn't want to lift things. But that was okay. Everyone had fun. Everyone thought Jason and Mr. Director were dead because they wanted to do a candid camera sort of show at the island. Oh well, people are dum-dums. And then the last segment of this show, showing how Machio just moves so fast that he is not even a human. He is pure muscle, unadulterated muscle. He's just Machamp without the extra limbs. It is that strong, that terrifying, but it's all good. But that's about it. How heavy are those dumbbells you lift? Great show. Very funny. One of the funniest shows I've seen all year. And that is a fact, Jack. But let's actually get to another show that I'm just enjoying. But it's sad to see this show go in particular. Going on to the shows that are on Crunchyroll. We are going to be I'm going to be talking about If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat the Demon Lord, episode 12. This wholesome episode. Basically, it all boils down to the final episode, Latina just being Latina, getting jealous over a big tittied elf girl that used to date Dale in the past. And she's wondering, well, she wants to grow up fast because she's so jealous, so adorable. It's like when your kids get jealous over just nonsense. And Dale just not figuring out how to deal with the busty elf chick. But the show ends on a very wholesome note. This show just generally just is wholesome. The most pure, undistilled version of diabetes you can get from just all this wholesomeness. But one thing I can say about this episode, Rita had her baby. It was a safe delivery, apparently. But you also have the young pup of the Phantasmal Beast deciding, you know what? Screw you, Dad. I'm gonna go live with Latina. And then Joseph comes by to visit with his daughter, Maya. But the one scene I can actually point out from this show that was actually kind of adorable is that when Rudy's like, oh, you're just being a baby if you can't be near your guardian. Latina gets into her head, she's acting like Maya, which I thought was pretty funny, but still rather adorable. Still one of those cute moments in this show. It was a solid 9 out of 10 show. Very adorable, very wholesome, but sometimes those who don't want to deal with wholesomeness on the daily, they'll just shoot down the show. It's wholesome, it's sweet, it's adorable. Anyway, now let's get to Dr. Stone, episode 12. I didn't even bother with the behind the scenes episode. I said, nah, fuck that, let's go. With Dr. Stone, they were trying to get and obtain sulfuric acid. And Ginro, our boy Ginro, actually pulled through because he's still this scared bitch. But when it looked like Kron was about to bite the bullet and just die from being in that pool of sulfuric acid, our boy Ginro, he grabbed his big boy pants after being talked down to by the old man in the most polite way possible, found his confidence, saved Chrome, or whatever the fuck his name is, saved our man, and just rescued him. And they were able to obtain the sulfuric acid that they need for the drug that they're going to use to cure Ruri. Still, good episode, solid episode. That's basically what happened. Sure, there may be like a few talking points since it's me by myself. I'm going to make this quick, easy, to the point. Just rapid fire. Let's go. And then let's go with Danmachi Season 2, Episode 11. Episode 11. Ares, being a big dumb musclehead, decided I'm going to go to war with Artio again, so I can just prove how strong I am. Well, he's only the god of warfare and not intellectual warfare, like his sister Athena is. But that whole conflict with Ares and his army is undercut with Hestia just implementing laws and rules in the Hestia Familia, because our girl Haruhime joined officially as a member of the Hestia Familia. But she gets so jealous of poor Haruhime that she's about to implement a ban on holding hands or doing anything with the opposite sex. But then we have Mikoto and Welf deciding to drop the bombshell that, hey, we're attracted to our gods. What are you gonna do about it? Hell yeah. And Hestia got all happy like, well, Belle, hypothetically, if a goddess told you that she's in love with you, would you date her? And he's like, nah, fam. I respect the gods too much to date anybody. Plus, dating someone that's on, like, the low tier from the world below? Nah. Have some more respect for yourself, essentially. Just showing mad disrespect. Well, in a form of respect, too, to his goddess. And everyone's like, bro, why are you being so savage at that moment? And he was like, wait, what? What do you mean? I didn't mean to. Poor guy. But he was able to talk to Miak and Hephaestus about him being a complete and utter idiot. But poor Hestia being roped into a job in order to have more potatoes for the village. Well, I wouldn't say that. She got roped into getting more potatoes. Thanks to her boss. Then you also have, how do I describe this? Ares decides, oh, let's kidnap a goddess from Oreo. That way we can have a handsome ransom. Yes, dum-dum. That's a smart idea. Just so smart. And then he was able to succeed in this, grabbing Hestia, but it took Ainz and Belle, and, well, Hermes' main woman to just take down individuals, just ruin their day. Just really ruin their day. And then you also have them just getting dunked on. Well, the army is about to take everyone out, but Hestia gets free from Ares' stupidity thanks to Belle, Ainz, side piece. They did some good work, but like all good things, it comes crashing down in a horrible fashion, and it happens like that from time to time. But one thing I found super funny about that whole interaction, he had, well, Ares is like, yeah, I am like pure power, I am a king, I am like God here. I am a top tier man. And Hestia ultimately falls off of a cliff due to some crumpling rocks, you know, that good old cliche, and falls down. Belle tries to save her and Ainz tries to save him. This show knows how to end on cliffhangers. Well, end episodes on cliffhangers. Holy shit, folks. Now, let's move on to Isekai Mom. Essentially, the mom squad is still climbing up the tower, and Anamante, being the idiot that she is, challenges Mamako to different contests at different points in the tower, and ultimately failing. That's basically about the episode, and it took mother's love and body armor to save the to save the children of the moms in the village outside the tower. Now it's just gonna be our crew going up against Admante for being a complete and utter idiot. That's about it. That's essentially it. So, funny show. Good comedy. Good subversion of most tropes in this isekai landscape. And speaking of this isekai landscape, let us travel on to Isekai Cheat Magician, episode 11. Essentially, the war has begun between the two brothers. Rin fights a warrior bitch that is so strong compared to try to weaken her. Mueller, as she's now translated, fights against a very pompous asshole who she just destroys. And Limia fights another magician and just takes him down. With honor and gusto, I should say. While Taichi talks to the Duke to see if he can get him to back down from his pointless civil war. And then the side man of the Duke casts a spell to basically make the soldiers go berserk and immune to pain. And at the end of the episode, he turns into some hideous monster that we don't get to see until the next episode. And that's essentially it. Let me make sure I recall if there are any other shows that I need to discuss. Let me consult my little handy-dandy note keeper, aka my account on Crunchyroll on my phone. Let's see. Oh, and Fire Force episode 11. We get to learn of the origin of the 8th District of the Special Fire Force. And that was great to see a little bit more of the backstories of Obi, the Lieutenant, and Maki, and how they were enlisted. And a little bit of, well, not only that, but we also got to see a little bit of the 7th's whole gimmick. And the captain of the 7th, basically having two sets of pyrokinetic abilities, well, two different generations, in both his eyes. One eye is for one generation, the other is for the other. As he just unenthused by everything else. That's essentially the episode for Fire Force. Fire Force is still a good show. And if people want to be complete idiots, well, people are complete idiots. And speaking of complete idiots, let us, folks, get down to business with the Otaku Soapbox discussion for this week. It's more like me proposing a question to y'all who actually watch these videos, which is barely anybody, but still, I make these videos because I like to do them. Anywho. Yeah, the best way I can describe this, folks, is when you love something. I think I've talked about this before, and just delving deep into different genres, it makes me question, and since we're slowly looming in October, and I think we talked about this in the past, but I want to actually bring it up again if I haven't yet. Since October is around the bend, we're going to be seeing, well, we have our typical traditions of seeing a lot of stuff on Halloween. Typically for me, I go to a convention during that time. But I think this convention that I'm going to is on a different date this year. Let me double check with that. Oh yes, it is. It is on a... Yep, it's on a different day. It's in November. It's a weird week in November too. But, anyway. So I can have Halloween, like Halloween goodness. That sweet Halloween goodness. And that leads me to actually want to talk about... we'll talk about this more when Halloween rolls around, but... Does the horror genre work in anime? Yes, it does, to make it a short answer. And sometimes it doesn't. Like, depending on how you work it, like the source material. Some things can be intentionally scary, or some things can be unintentionally scary. That's what I'm saying here. But, I think we talked about that topic before, but what sorts of characters terrifies us in anime? Sometimes, in most horror shows, you don't feel fear, essentially. Like, I haven't seen the Junji Ito collection anime, which I've been told is actually pretty trash, but hey, I am a fan of horror films, and Junji Ito's manga really fascinates me with the way he draws things. It's compelling in that way. It's kind of like in the way that I enjoy a good Stephen King story. Hell, I have the big tome that is Stephen King's It in my possession right now. And I don't own a single shred of horror manga, which is sad to say. And plus, I love horror films. But the kinds of characters that scare me is that characters in horror films, well, in horror anime, I should say, horror anime or horror manga, are the characters that are seemingly uncanny. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's this feeling that you get. It's an instantaneous feeling where you hope to God that you don't notice anything about these individuals. Like, they seem relatively normal on the side, like on the outside, but on the inside, they're a horrible monster. Like, for example, how most people don't really see a serial killer for who they are because they can put on a good face in front of regular society. And that's kind of the thing with most characters in horror fiction, I should say. If it's not relating to monsters, like a psychological thriller, you delve into the minds of a killer. And Monster, even though it's not typically a horror manga, it's just very horrific shit. Like, but it's still pretty horrendous when you really explore it. But one thing I can always point out in terms of like pure unadulterated terror is just using fears that, sure, using fear is a great tool, but the kinds of characters that wield fear just by barely doing anything, just emitting a presence, that's what terrifies me the most. They prey on the fears that deep down we all have. And that's essentially it. I'll be talking more about this when October rolls around, and we just delve deep into horror as a whole to celebrate the entire month of October. I just wanted to give a little nice preamble for when that time comes. But anyway, folks, this has been Serpentine 451. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Weeb Warriors. And still, pretty rapid fire, pretty fast. I try to be a little bit more articulate and slow for you, but since I don't have anyone else to bounce off of this week, and hopefully the reviews for next week will be a hell of a lot easier. Catch you guys then.